Welcome to Intentional Queen Podcast Journey to Restoration with Janine. I am your host. I am a certified life coach and I specialize in self-love and growth mindset. Everything on this podcast we're going to be talking about is transforming your mind from brokenness to wholeness. And we talking everything from self-love, self-healing, and growth mindset. If that is what you're looking for, you are in the right place. And if you're new, welcome. And if you coming back, thank you, boo. I see you. Today, we're going to be talking about self-love and the power of self-belief. With February being about love and all that type of thing, I really want to dig a little deeper. So the last couple episodes, I've been talking about shine bright like a diamond. I've been talking about our love languages that we see for ourselves. Did you do your thought work? Did you choose which ones you like? And are you working on yourself and giving yourself what you need? Then it was on my spirit today that, it just kept coming up for me that I think I wanted to dig in today. And it's about self belief, right? And so sometimes I think we confuse self belief with self confidence. They are two different things, but they can be running on the same line, like a parallel line. So you do need both, but they're not necessarily the same. And so, I got to go to the dictionary and go ahead and get us some definitions. You got your pen and paper. So let's talk about it today. Okay. We're going to dig all into that. If you're not on Intentional Queen Refuel, that's the free newsletter. It comes out the last Thursday of every month. I'll be leaving everything in the show notes, so you can always go there, or you can go to my website at intentionalqueenjourney.com and sign up there. It's free. It comes out the last Thursday. We also have the Patreon community that I have birthed, and we got women coming over there. We have events. We have accountability. We have, what else we got over there? We got some coaching. We got some more things coming in the wind that you guys asked. There is a poll, POLL, that's free. So if you're thinking about coming over to the Patreon community, go over to patreon.com, or you can go to my website because it's there as well and click right in. You can do the poll and tell me what you're looking for so you can make sure that you're getting the best out of the community. It's the cost of a coffee. We have women joining and I love it. So continue to come over if you're looking for a place off of the podcast to get some of this good tea. Come on over there because we would love to have you. And as you always know, with me being a life coach, that I do have life coaching services. I would love to have you if you are struggling in self-love, self-healing, belief in yourself, right? Authenticity, vulnerability, self-discipline, relationships. That is where I specialize and I would love to have you. And so just go ahead. You can always just shoot me an email or DM me so we can go ahead and set up your free consultation call and get you into the program. So let's move on into this thing. What it says here is self-belief is a person's belief in their ability to complete tasks and to achieve their goals. Judging yourself to be capable of success increases your chances of actual success. So self-belief is thinking positively about yourself and your ability. So you believe, right? She believed she could, so she did. And so that's where this whole little mantra is going to be. And I wanted to go ahead and talk about some of this and tell you why it's not the same as self-confidence. They said that they're very different. When separated, we begin to see that the knowledge and expertise around which we build self-confidence is only part of the story. Self-belief is very different and we build it in a different way. Ooh, so believing in yourself, right? When I started to dig a little bit more and what I have been working with myself in the past that I really started to really trickle about, and we're going to shout out me being on another women event called Bound by Image. And they brought that to my attention because I, put my glasses on and flung my hair back and gave those women a word, okay? And what Bound by Image was talking about, letting go of the images and the limited beliefs that you have for yourself. But when I spoke, I talked about on my story as well that my who is different than my do. And I had heard that a long time ago from Joyce Myers. But I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in our do, like what we do for people, and use that as our identity versus our who are you? And when you are trying to embark on a new thing and learn who you are and love who you are, you have to figure out who are you? And that may seem cliche, but you have to do a lot of unpacking and digging to figure out who you are and what light you're shining and how do you show up and that self-belief. My who is different than my do. And so I do many things. I was on a Facebook group and I was like, saying I got some receipts, but my most purposeful one is being a great mom and being a great woman and being a child of God. Like to me, that's huge. That's me speaking life into people. That gives me more purpose and honor and than all the other receipts that I have. And there'll be more receipts that's gonna come because you have to speak it into the air, right? Because your words, are power, right? And that's in James in the Bible, right? The power of the tongue. So you got to be real wise. But death and light is in the power of the tongue. So I speak for my future self about where I'm going, right? We giraffes out here in these streets. You have vision, you have foresight, you're going far, right? You have your word of the year, you know where you're going. I was talking to another queen who reached out to me and she said she has a word of the year for her personal life and a word of the year for her professional life. So maybe that's you, boo. I have two words in that regard too. But as far as intentional queen journey is concerned, I'm all about balance. How can we balance this thing out so we can go ahead and soft woman season? Because I heard this too. I know I'm getting a little off topic, but when I feel led, I'm gonna go ahead and speak that word for you. And so, people talk about soft woman season being a strong woman, right? Proverbs woman and all that. You have to be able to endure, right? But sometimes, like I told you, we don't talk about Bruno out here. That's from Encanto, right? Uh, that strong word. That's how I feel like some of the strong people want a little break. So soft woman season to me is balancing out when it's strong and balancing out when I could go ahead and sit in some things and relax because the self-love and the self-belief comes from believing that you can have those things. You can have balance. You can have things that you want, right? Because as an intentional queen, you're leveling up to a better you. And how do you level up to a better you is you have to go ahead and tackle those things, right? And so, what are the things that you need to tackle? And the only way to figure out how you tackle them is to know who you are. Who are you? And so for me, I know who God say I am. That was where I started. So people say, well, how do you start? You go with God. Look at Proverbs 31. You go here and say, well, who am I? And also you're in his image and in his likeness. So it don't matter what they say. Who is that for? Because listen, I done got riled up. I don't know. That's for somebody. So when you know who you are, and then you go to your why. Your why, what's your purpose? What's your why? Right? For me, I want to build legacy. For me, I want to be the best mom. For me, I'm out here doing it for me. The me that I could never be before because I had to hide her and I couldn't shine my light. That's why I said I preach so much on authenticity and about be who you are and leveling up to a better you because for so long I had to stuff her. And so now people like me in this space, the ones that benefited, but the ones who know me, God will just remove you, right? I was watching this sermon by TD Jakes, and I think this gonna be for somebody too. And he keep talking about dig ditches. And so you may be in a valley. So in the valley, you got to dig a little bit more. And everybody's shovel that you digging may be different. So the people that was speaking on there, one was like her shovel was cutting with scissors. So she was cutting people off. Block, cut, block, block. Another person was moving to a whole nother place and leaving her family behind. It was just so many different things. So I don't know who that's for. And that's where self belief come because they believed in their self and they got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, because that's how my mama say, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you going to do something. And so when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, I started doing something different. And then when it's God because the doors and the windows, because sometimes he don't open the door, you come in through the window. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you got people out here that want to go ahead and throw dirt on your name, right? Y'all know I'm always talking about the donkey, right? That they put in the hole, right? When they put the donkey in the hole, what they do? They try to bury the donkey. And the horse, you know what I mean, got nervous, like, oh, how I get up out of here? They burying me. Nah, they not burying you. You shake that dust off, you come on out. Because that self-belief in you that you know what they thought they was doing, they can't do. Because God got the final say. Who is that for? God got the final say. God got the final say. Oh, I'm having a revelation over here, and I don't even know why, but it's for somebody. God got the final say. So it don't matter what they say. We can be so wrapped up in titles that you know what God to do sometimes? He'll remove them. And then you have to figure out, like it's like stripping you naked. And when you're bare, you don't want people to see that, right? We put layers on for protection. We put coats on because it's cold outside. But sometimes what God to do is when he crush you, he take all them layers off. And it's called exposure. But he may not expose you in front of the ones that wanted to see your downfall, right? He cover you. That's what the cocoon phase is when I talk about their stages to this thing. That's you being uncovered, but you are being covered by God while you're doing the work. because in order to be stripped, you have to be okay with being molded. And sometimes you be in there fighting like, no, I'm not. And it's to a point that you can break free because you allowed yourself to be worked upon. So it's when you don't accept the help. Who I'm talking to, I'm getting in somebody's kitchen right now. When you don't accept the help, or you don't acknowledge that you need the help, because really that's the first step is acknowledgement, then you stay stuck and you want to become unstuck. And that's where the self-belief is. How do you keep going once you know your why, you know your who, you know your do, you know that you want to move forward in certain things? Is you got to get courage. Courage takes time. Courage takes time. But you know what? You faith it through fear. And remember, faith without works is dead. And we walk by faith and not by sight. And so when you walking, sometimes you don't see. This was another revelation for me, and I think this is going to be for somebody too. You are the person for the person coming behind you. So you out there looking for somebody that look like you for you to model, but really you are the model. And so you are creating the framework to help something. That's what it means by your test is your testimony, because you don't understand why you had to go through it, but you created the framework now. And now people can stand on your, so it's like with the snow, right? And you walk through the snow, but people behind you can see exactly where you step. And so then they just step in your spot because you're showing them the direction. But how did you find direction? You have to find where your source is. My source is God. What is your source? And you go there and he helped guide you. And it may be scary, but guess what? He will show you the way. He will show you the way. He open doors. He will close doors too. And sometimes he may say, I'm gonna open this one, but I close the one behind you because you can't go back. So now you like, well, I can't go back. So I only can stand or go forward. That's all we can do out here. So I am helping you with self-belief because it's baby steps, because baby steps lead to big leaps. So sometimes you see yourself wanting to get all the way down the road 1 mile, but did you focus on what's right here? And did you make baby steps? That's why I get into your word of the year and I talk about, making smart goals and just really baby stepping your way out there, because as you go back and look and as you journal your journey and you go back, you be like, man, I did that. And then that builds right confidence, because courage over time becomes confidence because you got courageous now. You like out here and you like, oh, I'm out here now. Now, like I said, when you become a light, like a light tower, you attract mosquitoes and bugs. Okay. And so when you have that, you have to be mindful of discernment. That's a hard word. And that comes from God, because there is always a Judas spirit. It's always a Judas spirit, okay? And I want you to know you are enough right where you are now. So even though we focus on self-development and you want to be better, you are still good where you are. And you give yourself grace for where you are right now, because at some point you will continue to grow, right? Because growth is done in motion, but you accept where you are today and you love yourself where you are today. Shouting out Terry, she had just put something up on Twitter about putting back for February, putting out little self-love notes to herself, and she hides them around her house. So she might just stumble upon it in her couch, or she may stumble upon it in her cabinet. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's got a lot of big things going on. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves that permission. Like, look, boo, I see you. And that's you telling yourself. That's why I use affirmations and I speak that over myself. I make my son speak it over himself. I think that is very important that you find a way to help you with your own self-belief that will build your self-confidence over time, and giving yourself grace in that space, because she believed she could, so she did. So that is a mindset shift. And the reason why it's a mindset shift is because you're changing your perspective. You're changing your lens. It's like me when I put them glasses on, like I tap in. We tapped in, we focus. That's what it means when my glasses on. I'm focused on this thing. Let's go ahead and do it. Hair flip back. I'm laughing, shouting out Coach K. Like, listen, that's what we do out here. And the authenticity of it is when you become your authentic self, people say, well, that's like a big word. It's a big word, but let me break it down to you. That means showing up as who you are. That means your self-belief of who you are. It's acceptance of this is me. And I don't mean a toxic you. I mean being you authentically and the best version of yourself at that moment, and realizing where your blunders are. Okay. And remember, you're not an island of one. You're not an island of one. And that you need to seek your source and get in a space figuring out what love languages refuel you, because what you need is refuel. That's why I talk about the newsletter all the time, because sometimes you need things that are watering. Because if you are a server or a healer or an empath like me, you will run dry because you give out so much but you don't ever pour back in. Because I had so many people in my life over periods of time that were takers, they were suckers, you know what I mean? Of my energy, of my time, of my emotional state. Like it would just boggle me down. And I would just feel like, well, I'm just here. And I don't mean like in a sad, dopey way. It's I want to provide, right? As a nurse, I show up, I'm there. Like you're attached to my hip for that whole shift. I can't even go pee if I'm in the middle of a case until somebody come relieve me. Like it's like that's how it feels, that you are always linked in, that everybody else's issues, priorities, and all that come before yours. And one thing that has helped me along the way is that I've learned that I matter too. And how can I show up for me? That's what made me understand my who is different than my do. Right? I just told you about what my profession and that space, but that space is not my only space. I love to serve in other ways. I love to teach. I love to mentor. Those are other things that I do, right? But that is not who I am. And that's how I learned who I am and what I love and what's important to me, and boundaries. Okay. And watching out for manipulative people, because when they see your light, when they see what you stand on, when they see your integrity, when they see your character, when they see your humanity, they will use it to their advantage. And that's where discernment comes in. And that's where Door to Explore comes into backpack, letting it go. That's why I brought up what I said when I was on that Bound by Image. And we talked about releasing limited beliefs. Because if it's self belief, there was some limited beliefs that was in your self belief. And sometimes that comes from how you was raised. Sometimes that comes from when you look at family members. Sometimes that comes from the friends you chose. Sometimes that comes from the relationships you chose. Was they toxic? Was they not? Right? Don't get me talking about the Eagles. Like, what flight system was you on? Was you dropping sticks, twigs, branches, logs? Where'd you stop? If you want to know about that, that's an inside joke. Please go back to the Eagle Soaring series with my brother, and we dig into that. And that is where I really wanted to go with that. I think this is going to be really, really good for you. We are wrapping up February, and then next month is going to be about authenticity. And by this time that you're listening, I want you to check out the Instagram live, because I had Miss Mish Monroe coming through. She's a mindset coach like me, and we came together and we giving you some tea. And her episodes will be coming out in the month of March. So go watch our IG lives. I'm trying some new things for y'all. Make sure that you guys DM me, that you're getting the message, because some of the DMs that I've been getting is so like heart feeling, that I am like so grateful. Thank you. We had a queen reach out to me, and she said that, because I'm also very intentional about sharing people's private business, because when they DM me, sometimes it's not for the streets. And so this here is something that I think is going to help somebody. She reached out to me because she was listening to my podcast on certain things that was helping her, but she also was trying to help her brother, and her brother suffers from some mental stuff. And I was able to give her some encouraging words in the DM, but then also send her to other episodes where I had me or I had other queens come on and talk about their emotional stuff. And so what I'm saying to you guys is, when you have self-belief and you living in your truth, you can help people just by showing up for the one. So that sister is showing up for her brother by coming to this channel that you guys have blessed me with, that gives me a space and a platform to help people. But the sister is now helping her own brother. So it take one. That's the point I'm making here. I show up for the one. So please don't believe that what you have may not impact somebody. It can. And we inspire for impact over here on this channel. So make sure to subscribe to whatever platform you're listening to. Share it. You know what to do. You know we come out every other Thursday. The Intentional Queen Refuel is the newsletter. It comes out the last Thursday of every month. It's free. I give you tips on podcast rewind, journal work, all that good stuff. So I do want you to journal on your self-belief and what might be limiting you right now. So that might be your homework that I think that I want you to do, your thought work and your journal, right? We got the Patreon. The Patreon is a community that I built called Sup a Cough. That is where we're creating community. accountability. We got some coaching. I come in there a little bit just to check in on you, make sure you're good. This is all for the podcast. We got some other private events that's getting ready to be loaded. There's so much coming for you. So definitely you want to get over there, because at some point it is going to be raised up. But right now, my goal is I want to be inclusive. And so if that's a spot that you need and you need community, come over there. We got you. What else, y'all? I think that's pretty much it. I see you guys in 2 weeks. I want you to have a good week. I know I went on and dug into this thing, but I believe there is power in this, and this is for somebody. So make sure if it's resonating with you, you go ahead and you really work on your self belief. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Okay, bye bye.